to another episode of 5 Fast Questions. Our guest today is a professional woodcarver, instructor, and also the author of the book Carving Faces in Wood, a beginner's guide to creating lifelike eyes, noses, mouths, and hair. It's Alec LaCasse. Alec, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jack. How are you?
I'm doing well, yes. How about you?
I'm great. I'm doing really well. Glad to be on. I appreciate you having me.
Well, it's always fun to sit down with folks that admire their work, and I've admired your carvings for a long time. It's amazing what you do, and I like that you experiment with stuff too. It's cool to see someone who's like pushing the envelope and testing the boundaries of some of the different techniques and things. Well, I enjoy that.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, it keeps things interesting. Otherwise I think I've been in a rut in the past with projects and styles of work, and it's really just a thing that we do out of fear, right? You end up staying in the same lane because you're ultimately just afraid of not being good at something. Especially it's like a gift and a curse being good at something, because you get used to that feeling, and then and anytime you get good at something, you have to feel this intense feeling of I'm not good at it yet. And that you forget, if you're good at something for a long time, you forget that feeling is like a part of growing. And so, yeah, I feel like I've had the last couple years, I feel like I've been embracing that a little bit more, which has been fun. So
let's hit you with some questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's start out at the beginning, Alec. Let's hear the story of how you got into wood carving.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I had a teacher in this homeschool group that I was a part of for a couple of months, a history group. We did soap carving, and the teacher saw my soap carving and suggested to my mom that I pick up a kit, and it included just a basic knife and a block of basswood that was cut out into the shape of a boot. And I, being a very ADHD, spastic, hyper child, partially the reason I was homeschooled, I couldn't handle myself and keep still in school. I was in trouble on the daily. I know that's hard to believe. Folks are so shocked. I'm actually offended by how little folks are shocked when I say that. But no, in all seriousness, I was able to sit and focus on one thing for 3.5 hours. And it was like really impactful for me as a young person, being 12 years old, to feel like I was doing something that totally enveloped me, that was all encompassing. And it was immediately impactful in a way of, I think I'm going to keep doing this. Like, this is something I don't think I'll ever stop doing. And it just kind of built from there. I just kept carving.
Wow, yeah. 12. That's really early for people to get started. That's amazing. Yeah. I tried soap carving, I think, once.
Did you?
And I may have had the wrong soap, because it kept kind of like it was melting in my hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess the go-to is Dawn. Or at least it was. I don't know. Not Dawn. What is it? Ivory. There it is.
Okay.
Liquid soap is not the suggestion. Yes. No. It couldn't have been more wrong. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's go on. Let's talk about advice for beginners. Alec, I know that you probably talk to a lot of folks who are getting started. You've got your school, of course, and the YouTube channel. And
yep.
If you had an opportunity to talk to a beginner and give them a piece of advice, what would that be?
Well, there's two kind of things that I can look at when it comes to approaching this question. It's like the motivation side, which is really important, and then the actual practical side. So I'll try to really quickly touch on both of those. The first one, the very practical side, you need to have sharp tools and good enough tools. You don't have to be expensive. In videos, I talk about cheap tools being bad. And what I mean by that is not inexpensive tools, but ones that are of poor quality that make your experience. I mean, this stuff is obvious, right? Like, don't buy tools that won't stay sharp. And there are cheap, meaning low cost makers of tools that are great. And so investing in those tools and learning the basic skills of sharpening. I would say I punted the basic skills of sharpening into maybe say 8 or 9 years into my carving journey. I just sort of with dull tools. And I mean, not to say I didn't try, but I didn't think of it as a separate entity or art form in and of itself. I just sort of was getting by with the dull tools that I had. And so learning how to sharpen and what tools to use, the inexpensive sandpaper and a piece of wood as a strop or leather as a strop and honing compound. This is like, we're in the single digits in terms of cost here, right?
Sure.
But it's understanding the basic methods and actually learning about it. So worth investing in that. And then on the on the the emotional side of things, I think passion and excitement for carving, that's to be preserved. And you should carve because you enjoy it, and always strive to have a growth mindset and be humble and willing to receive critical feedback. I remember when I first started getting critical feedback from folks, I was not prepared for that. I remember when I was a kid, my mom's friend brought her husband over, and I remember it was him or her. One of them said that I needed to do my leaves on my green men with more, they're more dynamic. They're also flat. I remember being upset, like I felt personally attacked.
Yeah.
So I think not being that way, I think has been a big part, and it never feels good. Like my friend Zach, my best friend, comes over, and every single time he comes over, it seems, and I don't mean this, I mean this respectfully, but he looks at a carving and he'll break something down, and it sounds cruel, like an error or a proportional thing, or, oh yeah, I noticed this left cheek is actually a little higher than that one, but you know what, all your cheeks kind of have that like similar asymmetry. It's so annoying to have those friends, right?
It's my wife.
yeah, right.
Oh man, she keeps me grounded.
That's good. That's a great wife. That's a really good wife. But it never feels good. And I think the important thing is that despite feeling upset about that, which I don't know if I could avoid being annoyed at that when it happens, I still say thank you. And then I make the correction, and 90% of the time the person's right. There is this situation where I'm about 16 years old or 15 years old, and I'm showing this now past gentleman who's very good carver, a carving of mine, and he said, on one side you've got this wrinkle that goes into the cheek. I now know it's called the mid-face groove, but at the time I didn't know. And he's like, you don't have it on this side. The face, he said to me in almost like a condescending tone, is like, has even wrinkles on one side and the other. Those sides should match. And I remember being like, as I'm looking at this man, I see a definite wrinkle on his eye bag. I now know it's called the malar bag, right? It's this lowermost bag under the eye. That bag was defined on this side, and it was almost non-existent on this side. And it took everything in me to not be this little brat and be like, have you looked in the mirror, dude? Have you looked in the mirror lately, bro? So yeah, there's being teachable, I think, is so important. But then allowing yourself to be excited and looking back on what you've accomplished and embracing that and saying, I'm doing a good job, and seeing the growth and getting that forward momentum is also important, as is receiving criticism. So those are two difficult things to maintain devotion to, but it's important.
I'm glad to hear you say what you've accomplished, because that leads us right into the next question. We had a built-in segue, right?
Yeah, wow, great.
So you've had so many accomplishments already, and Alec, you have many years ahead of you for sure. But
Lord
I mean,
willing.
you've got your school, right? Your website. You've got so many carvings that have been receiving accolades, and you have folks who seek you out, right, to carve things for them. And then also now you're the author of a book. Out of all of the wood carving related accomplishments so far, which one would you say you're most proud of?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question.
I stay up late thinking of these.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, that's a good. I wish I had some of these when I had a podcast. This is nice. You know, I don't remember who it was, but I heard someone say that their favorite artwork that they've ever created was the one that they haven't created yet. It was the next one. And I kind of identify with that, in that you never really feel totally satisfied with a project, and maybe you only feel somewhat satisfied, or like decently satisfied with a carving once maybe every 10 carvings, if you're anything like I am. So maybe once every 10 carvings I'll do something and I'll go, yeah, that turned out pretty well. But then the rest of it I'm thinking, oh, I mean, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. And so it's, you know, there is like a little inability to be totally excited about, you know, everything that you do, and that's good. But so I guess I'm struggling because I kind of feel, and maybe it's a cop-out answer, but I kind of feel like it's something that I've yet to create, and that's what excites me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. And it's a mindset, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud. Probably though, I mean, if it was anything, it'd probably have to be the school. I mean, I'm wearing a hat. Yeah. So I'm also so humble. I don't know. I wear a hat with my branding on it. I don't know if people know that about me. Little known fact, but no. But in all honesty, the school has been, and Sam, my buddy Sam is in here. He's edits my content. He's a video master. He's a fantastic carver. I mean, you should pull that carving off and bring it over here and see what he's doing. But Sam you're 18? 18 years old. And this kid doesn't carve that often. And he is an incredible carver.
Yeah, look at that.
Hold on. Look at that.
Well done there, Sam. What is that, basswood or is it something else?
Yeah, it is basswood, yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So being able to build something with this dude, and his willingness to help, and to see his growth as a human being, and his artistry, and in his skills as a videographer and a filmmaker and a gaffer, and all these things that he's doing, is part of the reason I'm doing it. Maybe I didn't even know it. Maybe I started out doing it because it was a opportunity for me. But I feel like the community is really awesome, fostering that in the carving school, and getting to build something with my little team here is probably my proudest accomplishment. So,
and more to come.
Yeah.
What about a fun fact? And let's do this, Alec. Let's find out what would be a fun fact about you that most people would be surprised to learn.
Oh, I don't know. Do you got anything, Sam? Looking at my wife in here for this one.
He phone a friend.
A fun fact about me. I mean, the only thing that I can think of, a fun fact. I'm not very fun. I don't know. Poop.
Musician?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the only thing I can think of is I really like music a lot. I like songwriting. I don't really post anything. I don't really record or post anything of that nature. But I hope to one day get enough free time to, or I guess devote enough free time, get a place in my work where I have the ability to sit down, maybe spend some time daily writing songs and put out an album. something I've always wanted to do and just have not committed to. It's really a side passion, but it's something that at one time in my life was equal to carving, and still remains a very important part of my life.
That's interesting. Yeah. And I've talked to several carvers who said the
Yeah.
same thing, especially guitar. Yeah.
It's really common. It's really common. In fact, I'll bring guitars to workshops, and I mean, it seems like a good percentage of the people at these workshops I'll teach at or go to, a lot of the instructors and carvers themselves are musicians. So maybe carvers are really just like wannabe musicians, all of us.
Tap into that creativity, right? Yeah.
Alec LaCasse is an amazing guitar, like really, really good guitar player.
Wow.
And so have you had him on here?
Not yet. No.
He'd be a good one to have. But yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, probably I guess that's my fun fact is I love music a lot.
All right. Well, we're down to the last question already, Alec, if you can believe it. Yeah, it goes quickly, doesn't it?
It does.
Let's talk about resources that you have available for people who are into carving or getting into carving. Let's talk about the resources that you have and where folks can find them.
Yeah. Well, so I have a book that you mentioned that has been going over pretty well. I've been glad about the response, and that's available in all of the links to my YouTube videos. It's in the description there. It's also available if you just Google carving faces in wood on Woodcarving Illustrated, or Fox Chapel Publishing's website, who makes Woodcarving Illustrated. They publish Woodcarving Illustrated. Probably that, and then the biggest resource that I kind of devote most of my time to as of late is the carving school. And that is kind of where like I focus my time and energy as far as carving is concerned, and teaching carving. And that's the bank of content that I'm most devoted to. And then probably third would be YouTube, if folks want, free to consumer content. And I work pretty hard at that too, to create, consistently create some content on a weekly basis for YouTube as well. Those are probably the three main avenues as far as my personal resources. Again, this is for carving like portraits, mostly portraits in woods, like human faces, likenesses, or male, female type carving. This is high relief as well.
So where would they go, Alec, to sign up for carving school?
Yeah, just my website, which is my name. It's aleclacasse.com. So that's pretty much where you'd see that. You'd go into the workshops tab, and then, or classes tab rather, and then it would be in person. I'm sorry, not in person, online. There's also in-person classes as well. It's another resource. I teach just a very small group of people, and it is for folks who are really dedicated to what I'm doing here, because it's expensive, it's involved, it's inconvenient to come out of state to do it, but it's like a real in-depth workshop on portraits that I put together about 5 times a year. So
yeah, immersive, right?
That's the goal. Yeah, it's just fun. It's supposed to be fun.
Eat, sleep, drink, carve. You're done. Go to sleep. Get up again. Do it again. Yeah.
Yeah, there are those days, that's for sure. But I try to get out of here at a reasonable time. Sometimes we fail at that, but most of the time we're good about it. So, yeah.
Very cool. Alec, I really appreciate you taking some time to answer these questions for us today and share some of your thoughts, experiences, and knowledge with all the viewers. I'm sure they're going to appreciate hearing from you too.
Well, that's great. Yeah, it's always an honor to be asked to do something like this, and I appreciate the content that you've been making over the last while now, and just highlighting. And there's not a lot of people making an effort to build the community of carvers like you have, and I think it's really cool to see.
Well, thanks, Alec. I appreciate that, and it's something that was a mindset for me. Right? Is there's so many people creating content, and more all of the time. And I thought to myself, well, how do we curate that. And that's kind of what got me going. And one of my daughters said, "Well, yeah, but these people aren't they your competitors?" And I said, "No." I said, "We're passive collaborators. We're all trying to do the same thing, and that's share this information with people and get them into what may be their next passion."
Beautiful. What a great place to leave off on, the importance of collaboration. My dad really instilled this in me growing up, that that you can never hurt yourself by sharing and teaching people about what you do and how you do it. And so many people, you know, it goes to the grandma who keeps a recipe close to her heart and, you know, should never share the secret ingredients, you know.
Right.
And I just never grew up with that mentality. And I'm grateful to my dad for that, because so many people have a very competitive mindset, and competition is great. And I am actually very competitive myself. I want to win, of course, but it's always important to remind myself and others that that it's really about growing a community. You know, it's like if you're growing a community where people can mutually enjoy an art form like carving, where maybe there wasn't a community, your life is just improved to such a huge extent. Like, I love talking to people about carving and woodworking and finishing, and it's a beautiful thing, because it's what we spend our time doing. So it's great to foster that. So it's always a win.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. Alec, thanks again. I really appreciate your time and your generosity. If I can do anything for you down the road, just give me a holler.
Yeah, and the same to you. I appreciate it, Jack.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. And we'll have another episode of 5 Fast Questions coming up sometime soon. Bye-bye.